Good night actually, my dear humans. Mashu here. Yeah, it is very late at night as I'm recording this and editing. So it is currently like 09 a.m. So yeah, very late and I don't really want to wake anyone up. This video has been quite overdue for a while, ever since May 15th, and it is the Ask Mashu 6 Answers video. And this is going to be actually a very short video because we only have 2 questions this time. Yeah, even after I started this whole 2 months go nuts thing, only 2 people volunteered in order to give a question. I guess I shouldn't really doubt anyone else's plans. So today we're gonna answer those 2 questions right here, right now, and that's pretty much it. Just wanted to get this video over and done with. Let's whisper what these 2 people have to say.
What do you think about Fisher-Price reusing old gears to build new toys?
I think you meant toy concepts and designs in general rather than gears, because what the hell are you gonna do with just gears? Jokes aside for a second, I'm honestly on a double-edged sword when it comes to this conversation. Because on one hand, while it does suck that we always get the same style of toys, always being sold non-stop, Chattered Telephone, Classic Xylophone, Smart Stages Puppy, Puppy's ABC book, Storybook Rhymes, those are the average items which are always sold and they're always getting variations. And it does get boring seeing them in stores after a while. That does suck. But on the other hand, I also think that it's also a good thing that they're always sold and they're always being remade, because newer audiences can experience the same style of toys as well. Not to mention that they can sell the toys in other areas and have new language stuffs, and we as a community are always looking for different languages for these toys. It's always neat seeing a toy that you remember at heart and seeing it in a language that you probably don't understand. That's cool. This exact situation happened with me with the 2026 Storybook Rhymes remake. I found out that it was getting a remake this year, and they were also going to release it in Latin Spanish after having it in Castilian Spanish as Cancionero for the longest time. And it was cool because I never had Storybook Rhymes before. So long story short, I think that A, it does suck that we always get the same toys, but B, it is a good thing because remakes can show the toys into newer audiences. That's just my 5 cents though, so leave your opinion on this down in the comments. It'll be interesting in order to debate it.
Hi Mashu, it's been a while. It's your old Tomodak Isav here.
Boy, I haven't seen you in a hot minute. Awesome to still see you here.
My question is, how do you know how to speak English? Is it from the video games you played, or you learnt English from school?
God, this answer needs a whole video on its own. Is what I would have said if this video had like 10 or 15 questions to answer. But since we don't and we have free time, I'm just gonna tell you the whole story here right away. Before I start telling the story, I will say that none of your guesses in the original comment were correct, but they all are good guesses. I want to say that this story started around 2007 to 2008, even though I was born in 2006, and by the way, that means that this year I am turning 20 years old, by the way, wink wink. My mom mentioned one day that I did start to learn English from Thomas, which is pretty much like a well-known fact in my family. So yes, this does involve Thomas in one way. I also know that I didn't start watching Thomas until 2007, hence why I mentioned that year range. Anyways, I started watching Thomas in 2007 with the hit era on the beautiful television channel Discovery Kids. Now, I don't need to give you a 35-minute podcast on what Discovery Kids is, because that's what Google and Wikipedia exist for. Do the research yourself. No Gen AI is needed for this step. Anyways, my mom used to wake me up very early each morning in order to watch Thomas and Discovery Kids. And every time she would wake me up, she would ask me the same question. In what language do you want to watch it? In English or Spanish? Somehow, some way, and I still to this day do not know how, my young self would always say English. I would always answer Inglés to this question. I still have no idea how the words Inglés ever came out of my mouth during that period, but somehow they did. My mom always used to say you used to say English all the time, and I just don't know how. Well, my mom would hear that answer and she would say, fair enough, let's put it in English. So she put the language into English, and I used to watch some quality hit era content in English. Very quickly I learned it, and I will always be grateful over that. But as I grew older and I started to think about this story again, I would always just question myself. Wait a second. like I was looking into every single part of the story and it just made less sense. It just made less and less sense as it went on. Like there was too many red flags. I just couldn't fathom it. I put on my thinking glasses and my detective hat and just I became so confused and I started to ask way too many questions. Okay, firstly, was it really the hit era this entire time that I was watching? Or was it the classic era? I mean, I know that it doesn't really matter because Thomas is Thomas, but it was still a valid question. Was Discovery Kids really airing classic episodes that early into the hit era, or were they all concentrated into the hit era? I just couldn't remember. I really don't remember any episodes that I used to watch back in the day. I was quite literally an infant. Secondly, language selector in Discovery Kids? Discovery Kids is a live TV broadcast channel, not a DVD, so there was no way you could have changed the language. I mean, I know that I'm not the most technologically advanced person and you can tell, but I'm pretty sure since it was live TV, there was no way you could have just changed the language mid-airing. And even if you could, the two languages that would be available are Latin Spanish and Brazilian Portuguese, because this was specifically Discovery Kids Latin America. So where did mom get the English option from? That's probably the biggest red flag. And thirdly, how did I even speak a word? In 2007, I was still a very calm baby. I would have been just born. I would have been an infant. How the hell did mom give me TV screen time and how did I even say anything? How could I have learned that quickly? I know there may be some babies out there who learn more quickly than others, but there was no way that I could have learned to speak that fast. Remember, I was born in 2006, so in 2007 I would have turned 1 to 2 years old. Literally, how did I speak? I was so small. How did I speak? How? I keep questioning the same exact thing. None of this makes sense. For years, I left this mystery and question just like that, completely unsolved. I couldn't figure out anything. Literally, none of the story made sense. I couldn't think of a concrete answer and I just left it there and I parted ways. Way later on, one fateful day in 2025, my mom calls me for something. She called me because she found one of her old hard drives. It was from the 2010s or so, and she put it on her computer to see what the files inside were, to see at least if the files were intact. And they were! And she found an ISO file. I was like, cool, what could it be? And you might be questioning yourself the same thing. What could it be? Well, it was a pirated American DVD copy of Thomas and the Runaway Kite.
You failed!
So this entire time, I wasn't watching the hit era on TV thanks to Discovery Kids. I used to watch pirated DVDs of one of the worst eras of the show being the Miller era, well, unless you discount Bubba, of course, in a language that I didn't know about. When I first read the title of that ISO, my heart just sank. I was just devastated. Now I do want to come out and clarify a couple of things about this story before I get inevitable hate by some users. 1. Don't go and harass my mother for pirating a DVD copy of Runaway Kite. This happened years ago and we don't want to start a huge kerfuffle about it right now. It's not worth it. If you do, it makes you look like an idiot. 2. I do understand that mom showing me that ISO file, that was supposed to be an act of kindness. And I fully admit that. Yes, that was nice of her. She was more trying to say like, hey, here's a DVD with some old Thomas episodes you used to watch when you were young. Nice memory, eh? I understand that. 3. I do not regret watching that pirated DVD ages ago because learning English is one of my most important skills and I do not take it for granted. Seriously, if I have not learned English right now, I don't think I would be anywhere in the stage that I am today. 4thly, I understand that my mom and dad, especially in the early 2010s, they were quite poor and they didn't have the biggest budget in order to give me the best entertainment. But 5th, I will come out and say that if you are a parent and you are trying to give some entertainment for your child, never, ever, and I do mean it, never, ever pirate content. In my opinion, always do the responsible thing of paying the original creators or distributors of the content money in order to then watch the said content. Because if you pirate stuff, that really doesn't give you a good look. In my eyes, if you pirate content, it sort of shows that you simply want your child in order to have something to watch on a screen, and that's it, rather than trying to actually learn them or get them into a content. If you pirate stuff, it doesn't really make you look like the good guy. That's pretty much the story that I wanted to say. Yeah, pretty ticked off that it had a really bad ending. Like I said previously, do not harass my mom or dad for pirating that content because this happened ages ago and there's no need in order to make a thing about it right now because this happened ages ago. Also, this is one of those stories that should really only be kept in the past rather than being made a big deal right now, really. Also, please don't take the wrong context on this. Like, don't start the whole, if purchasing isn't owning, then pirating isn't stealing, because that's not relevant to this story. So, long story short, I learned English from Thomas. I am very glad that I learned English from Thomas, but I am heavily upset that it came from a pirated source. That's all that I wanted to say for this video. I know there was only 2 people who volunteered to ask questions, but hey, I got a long story out of it, so we didn't completely lose time. So maybe you'll learn something new here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!